99.9 Punk World Radio FM, Elite Wrestle Talk. This is episode 34, and we are joined by the phenomenal Rich Swann. This man has wrestled in the WWE, TNA, also now wrestling in National Wrestling Alliance, the longest wrestling promotion in the United States of America. Rich, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing very well. I'm kind of shocked. I'm kind of shook because you introduced me as the phenomenal Rich Swann. We all know, especially in this TNA world, we all know that the real phenomenal one is AJ Styles. But let's back up real quick. Let's not talk about me right now real quick. Let's talk about the one that AJ Styles anointed as the new phenomenal one. We talk about Leon Slater. God dang, that's the real phenomenal boy right there. That's Division champ too. Oh, we. No, but I appreciate that.
No, I gotta say though, man, it's with AJ Styles, man. He definitely is a phenomenal one of TNA. I heard a rumor that he's looking to wrap things up and retire soon, man. And I know you had the opportunity to obviously meet AJ Styles and whatnot during your time in WWE, and also, you know, being there in TNA and whatnot, kind of being able to be a part of his the same legacy that he was a part of. What's your take on that, man, with AJ wrapping things up? Because I got to say, he's part of someone that I grew up watching. So see these people that I grew up watching and now they're kind of retiring, it kind of makes you sit back and go, one, I'm freaking getting old, and two, It sucks, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, my thing with AJ Styles is, man, he's always been, especially throughout the new age of professional wrestling, once WCW was bought out by the WWE. And, you know, as a huge wrestling fan, I love the WWE, but I was always looking for that other alternative group, that other professional wrestling channel that was going to intrigue me. And then out came NWA TNA, and I see this guy do this leapfrog drop down drop kick that looks so beautiful. I was like, this is my new guy. Before it was RVD, before it was Bret Hart, before it was Mysterio, AJ was my guy after I first laid eyes on him, bro. And like with my times, you know, being able to share locker rooms with him and, you know, meet him, he's just always been somebody that has been someone that's shown the utmost respect, whether you're on the lower end of the card or the high end. And he's always willing to give advice even when he's not even asked. And that's something that, you know, I aspired to be, you know, attitudes like how AJ would carry himself. And a funny story about AJ Styles, one time in LaSalle, Illinois, for a promotion called Dreamwave Wrestling, AJ was going on an independent tour, and he was currently the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. And if anybody does their deep dives on AJ Styles, they know that he is a very, 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 very big video gamer, and he loves these two games right here. Let me step back real quick. He loves these two games right here. This one right here, very cult classic. Yeah. This is my original one, No Mercy. This is the one that I played.
The best wrestling game ever made.
Yeah, I mean, well, we also got this one right here, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. This is the one that's what, you know, WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy, they kind of modeled after. And so he picked Christian. I picked your boy D'Lo Brown. And I was whooping his butt so bad. So bad.
Since we're showing some old school games, I feel like I'm going to join in on this quickly.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you
sir.
might remember this one. Where is it? ECW.
Oh,
yeah, man.
Yeah. Heck yeah, baby. Both them hardcore and the Anarchy Rules. Oh,
WCW, yeah. NWO. WWF Warzone, but unfortunately, throughout the years, been a little messed up. And the last one, WCW Mayhem.
Yes, sir. We're out here. We're out. We're out here. We're out here throwing up the cartridges, baby. No,
And then totally unwrestling related, but just an honorable mention, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, because why not, you know?
You can't. If you're a wrestling fan, I guarantee you, almost any wrestling fan has messed with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, just because of the level of, But
Yeah, that's his next level. I will admit, I've always played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on the PlayStation 1. So when I got my hands on the N64, I'm like, man, what the hell do I even do with this right now? Because the controls are all wonky.
It's so different, especially like playing with the analog and everything like that. I always thought that was weird. If you ever switched back and forth between PlayStation and 64, it was always weird. But for AJ though, I was about to beat him. He was in danger. The thing was blue as hell. It said danger. I hit him with a lighter bulb on the outside. 1, 2. He reached over to the system and he turned the system. I'll never forget that. That made my life right there, bro. Oh man. And I always bring it up to him anytime I ever see him. AJ, if you ever catch this interview, bro, I'm reminding you one more time. Christian Cage got that ass.
But also, man, way before you actually had the opportunity to share the locker room, and before you almost whooped his ass while he was playing as Christian Cage. At the age of 14, man, in 2005, you actually began your professional wrestling training in York, Pennsylvania, alongside Adam Flash, Darren Wise, and Ray Alexander. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about training with these three individuals, and of course, what is one thing you've learned from these three that you still implement inside the ring 20 years later in 2025?
Oh, yeah, man. So Adam Flash, he was somebody that I would see at Combat Zone Wrestling and Maryland Championship Wrestling, where I originally was, where I was born in Maryland. And Maryland Championship Wrestling, it would always bring in the hot people that were, in TNA or people that were, trying to find themselves and trying to find their way back to the WWE, or you had, your up and comers. And as a kid, I was misfortunate, and I had some, things happen in my life that kind of took me down a path that, if I didn't have those guys, I probably would be in prison or dead. Um, but so Adam Flash, uh, he's a guy that when I went to that training school in York, Pennsylvania, to try to figure out how to get my foot in this door, he was somebody that took me under his wing, and he took me to shows. He would drive me to CZW, take me to the arena. He'd take me to the Shakara and Wicked Hanneman shows. I'd be in the back and learning from guys and like seeing how to carry yourself in the back, like from guys like Sabin and Shelley, and then with Ray Alexander, he would be in that ring with me. With a 14 to 15-year-old kid, he'd be in that ring with me every day. I'd go to the ring, some days, the school wasn't even supposed to be open because of the facility that we were at. But the facility, they kept the doors unlocked for some reason. And me being a mischievous kid trying to get every single ounce of minutes that I could in that ring, freaking, I'd show up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, open up the door. I'd call Ray. Ray would come over. We'd bring the camera, and we would just practice everything from lucha to Japanese strong style to catch as catch can. And he really opened up my eyes from the style of WWE and how WCW and ECW was that entertainment value. He really showed me the sporting side of professional wrestling, and like taught me how to really relate that to the people, and how much I love that. And with Darren Wise was a huge character. He was the owner of the school, National Championship Wrestling, and my uncle, he would always call it, "Did you see Red Boots?" Because he would always have on his wrestling boots, his red, shiny, patent leather wrestling boots. And he would, instill in me that I have to this day. No Facebook, no MySpace is going to get asses in these seats. You have to go out there. You have to put your 10 toes to the ground. You have to go to the mom and pop shops and shove out these flyers. Because if you don't shove out these flyers, ain't nobody going to be coming to watch your little butt wrestle. So, man, I really instilled that in the kids today. Like, I know social media is a big part of our careers in the industry, but actual, human, contact, face to face interaction, it goes a long way. It really does.
And especially as well, handing out those flyers as well. Also, you got to go into these businesses and speak to them about your event and why they should actually let you put their flyers up at the front of their business. And it also could lead to potential partnerships and sponsorships with those businesses with the wrestling company itself. Because you could go into a business, you could be like, wow, it's a quilting store or something, and you'd be like, man, there ain't no way this old lady is going to want to, put this up. But then she could be like, I love professional wrestling. How do I invest? Like, how can I sponsor this? How can I get my logo on your ring apron or something like that? You know what I mean? You never know how it works.
Yeah, my grandkids, they love wrestling. How can I get them? It all trickles down. It's just about being personable and, just trying to, create that connection with people. Yes, indeed.
And
But those
speaking
three,
of,
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rich. My bad.
I was just gonna say those three. That's what those three taught me individually, and you know, I'm actually going to be wrestling Ray Alexander in York, Pennsylvania next year. So I'm very, very excited for that.
And when you mentioned a few moments ago about how, social media is a big part of your guys' careers as well, in 2014, a rapper by the name of Whale actually sent out a tweet stating that you needed to be in the World Wrestling Entertainment, calling you the future of the business. That I read also ultimately got the attention of the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. And then, the dominoes started following down altogether, leading you into the WWE for a tryout in September of 2014. Can you tell us a bit more about, just that tweet and how everything kind of came together to actually kind of get your foot in the door of the WWE?
Yeah, so it was after an Evolve Weekend show or Evolve Weekend, and it was me, AR Fox, and Ricochet and Uhan Nation versus Trent Beretta. Um, oh man, Trent Beretta, Caleb Conley, Apollyon, and man, I can't remember it might have been Johnny Gargano, and that match on Twitter like blew up uh, at that time, and I guess the rapper Wale. He was watching it at the time because he's a huge wrestling fan. Obviously, we have Wale Mania that's still going strong today. He saw that match and, he basically said, these guys are the future and I'm going to do anything that I can to make sure that these guys make it. And I woke up after I want to say it was a 15-hour drive from New York City back to Tampa, Florida. And man, I woke up and I get all of these messages saying, yo, dude, Wale hit you up. Wale hit you up. He said you should be in WWE, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what? Man, this ain't nothing gonna come of this. Nothing's gonna come of this. That's freaking cool. That's cool, but you know what? If something happens, Next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call from Mark Henry. Literally. I was like, I see Texas number on the phone. And freaking, I'm like, hello? Said, hey, this is Mark Henry. And at first I'm like, yo, somebody is paying with me. Ain't nobody trying to sign my 165-pound little butt. Somebody's ripping me. Hung up. Literally 2 seconds later, Texas number. Oh snap! This is really Mark Henry. Hey, did you hang up? I thought you was ribbing. As he said, no, I'm not ribbing. So this rapper, I'm real close with Wale, and he said that you could be like the next Black Daniel Bryan. He said that you could be the future of professional wrestling. We need to get you and Ricochet in WWE. I'm like, yo, you serious? He said, yeah, I'm serious. Be ready. He hangs up. So I'm like, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm working out as hard as possible. I'm trying to put on some size. I ultimately did. I put on 30 pounds naturally, no steroids, nothing, almost close to 200 pounds. And a month goes by, I hear nothing. And then Mark Henry calls me again. He says, hey, let me tell you something, boy. You're ready for that tryout in 2 weeks. I said, what? 2 weeks? What kind of? Okay. Boom. Freaking get a message from the talent agent or the head of talent relations at the time, Kenyon Seaman. And he calls me and said, hey, let me get your information, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to those 2 weeks in September, and man, I was the smallest guy in the tryout. And amongst me in that tryout was Montez Ford and Jeff Cobb as well. And man, me being the smallest guy in that tryout, it was the very first time that they were going to record the tryout as like, showing the combine and all that other stuff. And by gosh, it probably was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to endure in my life. But the only thing that I told myself is, man, there's people that are supporting you. There's people that put their names on the line for you. And I've always dreamed of being in the WWE. So it didn't matter how much weight it was I had to push, how much weight it was I had to pull, I was going to do it. And then not only that, I think that, what helped me, earn my spot there, I wasn't being selfish. To the people that, were coming in as athletes, I didn't look at them like, oh, you're only getting this because you failed at one. No, everybody makes it at a different path, you know what I'm saying? And everybody has their own path. And the one thing that I was thinking was, man, if I could help these guys, that makes me more valuable. If I could show somebody that's never been in a ring ever, the steps of how to hit the ropes, of how to take a back bump, of how to sell, then man, you can work with anybody. And that's the mentality that, I had going in there. And from the tryout, William Regal, he told me, he said, lad, you're 20 some years old. You've got a lot of wrestling experience now, but your size and stature is what's holding you back. So maybe if we do a cruiserweight show, we'll be giving you a call, but just know you've earned your spot here. But we're not going to sign you today. And I'm like, what does that mean? How can you tell me? How can you tell me I earned my spot, but I ain't got a contract? But I kept my composure, and I feel like that was just a little test to see what I was gonna do, to see how I was gonna handle it, and I handled it very well. And a couple months later, I get a call back from Kenyon Seaman, and then he's telling me that my name came up in a meeting, and that they were gonna sign me, and it was like the greatest day of my life, bro. Literally.
And I got to say as well, it couldn't have happened to any more of a deserving individual, man. Like I told you when we were setting up this interview, we had that conversation just between me and you on the phone, and I said you are honestly one of the most athletic professional wrestlers currently today, man. I mean, the things you can do in that ring, man, is just absolutely ridiculously insane, but obviously in a good way. I mean, the way you flip, the way you fly. I mean, you have so many styles of professional wrestling in your arsenal. It would literally be dumb of them if they didn't ink that deal. I'm glad they inked that deal so quickly, man, because they probably didn't. They were probably, your name came up because they probably didn't want to risk someone like TNA at that point taking you before them, or anything like that.
Really, it was Lucha Underground that was the big one, and I was going to sign with Lucha Underground and be with Ricochet, but that's ultimately what happened. They heard that, and then bam. And then I was in the developmental system in NXT for about a year and a half, just doing the coconut loops to Florida shows. And then once they started traveling, I wasn't on those yet, but out of nowhere, Kanan Seaman again. He comes down to me. He says, "I see that stare in your eye, kid. We're doing the global cruiserweight or the global wrestling cruiserweight something, or the global cruiserweight series is what it was going to be called in the beginning." And then they switched it to the CWC, which, man, I hope they do another one of those, because that had the level in the field of how Super Juniors, you know what I'm saying, like feels like. That was just an amazing tournament and produced so many amazing stars. And we got to see, Kota Ibushi in WWE. We got to see Zack Sabre Jr. in WWE. It brought back the return of Brian Kendrick. I was fortunate enough to have a real, debut, because I wrestled against Finn Balor as he was the champion in NXT, and also Baron Corbin. But other than that, no more NXT TV for me until that. Which, man.
And one of the questions I do have is actually based upon NXT TV, and it just seems fitting because not only is it Halloween tomorrow, but it's also 10 years ago on this day, October 30th of 2015, your major NXT debut was actually at a house show wrestling in a Halloween battle royale. From what you actually can recall, can you tell us the story behind this NXT debut? And of course, what was it like at that current moment to have made your World Wrestling Entertainment debut on Halloween in a Halloween battle royale?
Man, it was pretty insane, because I'm like, wow. And I can't even, I've got the picture somewhere. I'll send it to you after we get off here. I got it from Madman Fulton, who also at that time was in NXT. And man, it was just something that was like, hey, everybody that's here, everybody that showed up, we're going to have a little fun, and we're going to have a costume battle royal today. And when I tell you, I was like, wow, this is how I'm making my debut in WWE. Costume Battle Royal, the place where everybody says, "Oh, you're gonna hate it there. Oh, watch when you get to WWE. You're not gonna be able to do these things and do that. You're not gonna be able to smile. You're not gonna be able to be yourself." The first thing I do is freaking Battle Royal. I'm like, come on, how much fun can you not have in that? You know what I'm saying? Like you're just trying to not. You're looking for an excuse to like complain about something. Like I was like, wow, this is the best. Yeah, it was awesome.
Do you remember what costume you actually wore? Like, do you know what Halloween costume you wore in the ring?
I can't remember what it was. It was something lame. It was something stupid. I don't even remember. I wasn't anything specific. I think I had like a wig or something like that or something. I got to go back and look at the picture. Like, I got to go back and look at the picture. Yeah.
That's the one thing I love the most, man, about back in those days as well, was the house shows, man. I know WWE, they have a holiday house show tour they just announced, but they don't do enough house shows anymore, man. I would go to a house show any day of the week over a live televised taping, because you can have so much fun, man. Like my first house show I went to, it was like, long story short, there was like the New Day back when there was like Big E was still wrestling before his unfortunate injury. I think it was like Big E was getting beat up, and then Kofi and Xavier were laying right. I was right by the ring, like right by the ramp area, and they're laying there pretending to be knocked out. So I'm like, ribbing them. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Like, get up, man, and help your guy. He's getting the shit kicked out of him. Like, what's wrong with you? Kofi picks up his head and goes, "It's not in the script. I'm going to go back to sleep now." He's like, "I'm going to go back to sleep now," puts his head back down. And I'm just like, because I didn't, that was my first house show. So I didn't realize they could say stuff like that. But then I realized, wait, there's no cameras. They can just have fun. So it's more fun at a house show, man.
Oh man, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And the thing about house shows too, like, you're also getting those reps, and for the people that like really love like wrestling, the sickos that love getting in there, destroying their bodies. God damn. Like, I've had some of my favorite matches, like with TJ Perkins, Brian Kendrick, Pac, Austin Aries, like on those house shows. Like, oh my goodness, you could just have so much fun. Yeah.
And before we move off the topic of WWE, November 29th, 2016, at the inaugural episode of 205 Live, you became the Cruiserweight Champion, where you held the title for 61 days. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about this particular match, winning the gold. And of course, when did you actually find out they were putting the strap around your waist?
It's funny. I didn't even know that they were going to be making a cruiserweight show. Because at the time, I wasn't like really big on social media. I didn't really check anything. I just would show up to work where the plane ticket was, sent, and be doing my job. But probably, I want to say it was 2 weeks before the show. Everybody at NXT, we all went to go see Shawn Michaels' movie premiere. It was a movie that he was in, and I believe helped with, about soldiers and stuff. And on the way into the theater, Canyon says to me, "So you ready for these Tuesday shows?" And I'm like, "What? Am I going to SmackDown? Are the Cruiserweights going to SmackDown? What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, you guys are going to be doing 205 Live, which is going to be a all cruiserweight show." And I'm like, wow, this is insane. So I get that. And then the next week at Raw, John Backstrom, one of the writers, he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, in Vince's words, he thinks you're vibrant, and he thinks that you're somebody that could really, really be a good piece for this division, and somebody that's going to light it up. And he's choosing you to be the Cruiserweight Champion." And that coming from, the guy is like, whoa, okay, so this is real. Then that next week, it's setting in, and getting to the altercation with Brian, and then the next night happens, and I'm just like, anything can change at any moment. But it goes down. Me and Brian, we, in my opinion, we had a very, very good match. And especially after the people are seeing Shinsuke Nakamura, they're seeing John Cena, they're seeing Randy Orton, they're seeing, all of the top stars. And we're on at 10 o'clock when, it's a school night and, people wanting to go home. But we were able to keep these people's attention and keep that arena full, which was, mind boggling to me. And I'll never forget that moment. And I dedicated it to my mom, who was passed away. And it was just a great, a great moment that nobody will ever be able to take away from me.
And I will say this, and I'm not just saying this because I got the man, Rich Swann, here on my station, and we're talking. But during that match, I watched every episode of 205 Live. I've always been a cruiserweight guy. I mean, one of my idols, favorite wrestler of all time is Eddie Guerrero. So I love 205 Live. I love the fact that the cruiserweights were getting the much needed love that they deserve. And I was cheering you on that night, man, because I've watched you even before that, through the independent scene. And I was just like, yes, man, like, yes. And when you dedicated that to your mom live on television, I was like, man, I don't cry during professional wrestling, man, but I will admit I teared up, man. I was like, because that was the most beautiful thing, man. And I'll tell you one damn thing. I know darn well she was looking down at you and proud. She was clapping with everyone else in that arena, dude.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And before we actually go into the TNA days, I just have to say the 205 Live show, it started out great. And much like most of WWE's programming, sometimes they kind of shifted away from what they originally started with. I don't know what they really did with 205 Live, man. I know obviously it's gone now, but it just kind of lost the touch of what they were originally trying to do with it, man. Like, what was your take on the 205 Live kind of near the end, man? Because I got to say, from when they started, it was great, and then it kind of shifted into more of a main event, just recap show.
It definitely, on a personal level, it hurt, just because it was something that, I was a part of and I wanted to see grow. And there's so many talent out there that would have fit perfectly in that 205 Live category and division. But, at the time, that wasn't the style of wrestling that, the people up top wanted. Not only that, there was so much programming in with WWE that, somebody's gonna have to take the end. Somebody's gonna have to get the ice cold pick of the deal. And you know, like it's not gonna be Raw, it's not gonna be SmackDown, it's not gonna be NXT. You need those, buffer shows like main event in the beginning or superstars and stuff like that. And it sucked to see it happen, like see it slowly trickle, and but at the same time, that's just the way of the beast. That's how this business runs, and it it's not getting the views and the support that they're looking for. Then why keep on investing in something that's not really working? Um, and same went for the WWE NXT UK thing. Like if you compared the viewers of NXT, the regular NXT in the States, and then the viewers of 205 Live and NXT UK, it was a huge drop off. So business, standpoint, like you got to do what's right for business.
And also, as well, June 21st, 2018, you made your debut in Impact Wrestling TNA by defeating Trevor Lee, also previously known as Cameron Grimes. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about how you got connected with TNA. And of course, do you remember the first conversations you had with them? And of course, leading all the way up to you whooping Trevor Lee's butt.
Well, so I got released from WWE due to some controversy, and I retired for a quick minute, and I got booked for all these shows in New Orleans for WrestleMania weekend of that year, and I canceled, but I still went because something in me just said, just go to these shows. And Lucha Underground and Impact Wrestling were doing a collaboration, and I was like, you know what? I want to go check these shows out. I want to see what's up. I haven't seen Willie Mack in a minute. I didn't see, a lot of people ride cage and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go check this out. And when I walked through the back, Don Callis and Scott D'Amore, those two who I'd never met before, they both, Don Callis really mainly, uh, he was like, I know who you are and I'm a big fan of you. And I really think that your talents could really work well here in Impact Wrestling. And, I told him my situation and I told him I was done. And he said, just think about it. And then I thought about it, showed up at an Orlando show, and man, I was just at home because so many of the people back there, like Eddie Edwards, Lish, Moose, man, the list goes. LA Knight, like I've known these people from beforehand, and it felt like okay, I'm back. Like Sammy Callahan, Jake Crist, all of OBE, Jessica Havoc, like they all welcomed me in with open arms, and and also Trevor as well. Like I'd known him since he was a young man. Uh, I'd seen him when he was in his developments, and to have that opportunity to wrestle somebody, that I'd gotten to wrestle at PWG and see grow into a big star even before he got signed to WWE. I was like, man, this is gonna be an amazing moment, and the feeling of are they going to boo me? Are they going to cheer me? Are they going to just be silent? What is this reaction going to be like? And man, I'll never forget it. Like, it was one of my first matches back, and Trevor, he being the freaking confident professional that he is, he went out there and we tore it up for the time limit that we had, and I'll just never forget it, and I'll never forget what he did for me that day. As in doing the favor, as he was on his way out, and I feel like he definitely could have been utilized a different way. He could have been a very big star for TNA at that time. Well, Impact Wrestling at that time, but he did that for me. And then about 20 minutes later, they say to me, "Hey, you're gonna wrestle Ray Phoenix tomorrow." I'm like, what? Yes, let's go. We get that match, and then and how they had did tapings at that time, they would do 2 weeks for one day and 2 weeks for the next day. And they decided after they had the match with me and Ray Phoenix, Sanjay Dutt's like, hey, I think we're gonna have a banger next week, or for the next week's show. Can you work one more time, Swan? I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped. And they were like, all right, it's gonna be you, Ray Phoenix, and Penta versus Sammy, Jake, and Dave Chris. And I'm like, let's go. And like, there's a video on YouTube. Like, that's one of the matches that like kind of like changed the style and trajectory of where Impact Wrestling was going and how it was looking. And to be like, and that's one thing Don and Scott would say to us all the time too. Like, that was one of the matches that really turned the page for that company.
And when you said how they would film all those shows all together, I remember actually going to one of my very first TNA shows. I've been to many TNA shows and AEW and all that, but I remember I went to saw them in Ottawa, the Albertine Pavilion here in Ottawa. And I was thinking it was going to be like a 2-hour, 3-hour show. So I actually remember asking one of the security guards, dude, I was like, yo, how long is the show going to be tonight? We're starting pretty early at like 5. Like, are we going to be out of here by 8? And the security guard chuckles and goes, oh, you're cute, and walks away. And so I thought it was going to be like a WWE show. You get like a 2-hour show, maybe a dark match, and they throw your ass out. Dude, it was 11 o'clock, and they said, okay, everybody start cheering. I love pro wrestling, but I was just like, woo, because I was so tired. I was like, I want to go the freak home, man.
Yeah. But at the same time, be like, man, I ain't wasting this goddamn old ticket money. I paid for this, goddamn it.
That's what I mean. There's ain't no way that I was leaving. I would be tired. I would hold my face up. I'd be like, I'm tired, but I paid for this. I'm going to be here,
Hitting one of these boards, one of these. In the middle of people. Yeah.
Paying those $15 energy drinks just to keep you awake. You know what I mean? Paying that concession, man. But I will say, though, all jokes aside, man, that was some of the best wrestling I've seen. Because, I mean, it's like, I can just sitting there for 8 hours is one thing, but being a wrestler, having to come out multiple times and, doing so many matches, I mean, I would think after a while, like it would probably get obviously a little bit tough on your body doing that many matches night in and night out. But it also gives the wrestlers, I think, a good time to actually be able to relax and be home with their family because they have like 3 weeks of content already filmed.
That's the double-edged sword of that. And that was another reason why, I liked Impact Wrestling and TNA because, like at the time before my son was born, I had the opportunity, I had a small opportunity to go back. There was a window open to WWE, but I didn't take that chance. And because my son was going to be born, I made sure to stay with, Impact Wrestling TNA because I knew what the schedule would entail with WWE. Like, even if I was wrestling, I'd still have to be on the road. Or even if I wasn't wrestling, I'd still have to be on the road. And you know what I mean? Like, you're just in the back or whatever. And, that doesn't hurt me near nor there. You know what I'm saying? And like, being somebody in catering, this is a business where you wait your turn and your turn does come. I mean, and not wait your turn, but like as it, you just got to be patient because patience is a virtue. But, I was like, man, like I'm definitely going to stay with Impact, stay with TNA, and that schedule is definitely the thing that keeps most guys in that company and most females in that company. Um, because with this business, you got a bump card, and man, they definitely help you out with that bump card. If I could be, frank, like you'll have a match one day and then maybe some segments the next, and they're making sure that they're getting you on TV and making sure that the content all makes sense. Like it just was, it was the move right there, and it still is, especially with how big TNA is growing now.
And also, one of my favorite matches that you were a part of was where you went face to face with Kenny Omega when you were TNA World Heavyweight Champion. It was a champion versus champion match in Nashville, Tennessee at the pay-per-view Rebellion. I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about just working alongside Kenny Omega during the AEW and TNA partnership, man, because that match was so phenomenal, man. Your wrestling style with Kenny Omega's wrestling style, it just came together for such a 5-star match, in my opinion.
Man, I appreciate that. I wasn't at my best when I wrestled Kenny Omega. I was just coming off of I broke my back and I broke my leg, my fibula, tibula, and whole ankle, foot. My Achilles was crushed like a soda can. The doctor told me I would never walk the same again, let alone wrestle. And this was during COVID, and literally I was determined to, shove that down that doctor's throat, and I totally did. And when I got that opportunity to wrestle Kenny, I had got a couple, the 6-man tag with myself, Moose, and Chris Sabin versus the Good Brothers and Kenny. And then we had a couple other tag matches just building up to the match. And Kenny Omega is everything that people imagine him to be and think that he is. He is one of the greatest in the ring, even though, I love me some Jim Cornette.
I do too, I will admit. His podcast is crazy, man, but I love it.
He'd be doing a twinkle toes, big finger, bang. God damn, your heart go marks. God damn it. Oh, that's all I could think when I was in the ring with him. But all jokes aside, like, he's one of the greatest that I've ever been in the ring with. And funny, like 15 minutes into that match, I got knocked something silly. And for the last like 10, 15 minutes of it, I was gone. I was out. So I was blown up. he blew me up. He knocked me out, and he whooped my ass. But like, he literally is one of the greatest. And what I remember is after I, got the freaking goddamn he hit me with a B trigger up against the ropes, boom, gave me the one winged angel. 1, 2, 3. I remember Willie back. I'm sitting on the apron. And thank goodness this was COVID. Because if there were people in the building, oh my gosh. But ding, 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 pay-per-view ends. All right, and clear. I'm laying there dead. I make my way to the apron. I'm sitting on the apron drooling. And Willie Mack's like, freaking Eddie's rubbing my back. Eddie Edwards. Willie Mack's like, fool, you are a fool. You got X-Pac kick to the back of your head, knock you out. And I said, huh? He's like, man, I don't want no more. You got it. I hear your battle cry. No, but dude, it was funny. And then looking back on it. But like, if I was able to wrestle Kenny Omega today in the shape that I'm in, bro, I think I might blow him up.
I honestly think you will, man. I mean, like, your transformation through that injury to today, man, is phenomenal. I've been watching you in the NWA circuit. I watched your number one contenders match, man, which again, I was cheering for you, bro, because you deserve these accolades and then just the recognition, man. So when I seen that number one contendership match and you got that 1, 2, 3, I was just like, that's it. Just give my boy the title. Like, just give it to him. You know what I mean? You hear this, Billy. Give the man the title, okay? Give the fans what they want. Put the strap on Swann. Let's go.
I'm still just a rat in a cage. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But also as well, man, before we move on the topic of TNA and whatnot, obviously, as we know, TNA, the AEW partnership deal, obviously AEW and TNA aren't working together anymore, but now it's TNA and WWE. They're kind of doing the same thing, but with NXT. And I do know as well that I read on the dirt sheets is the only thing that I ever am going to bring up from the dirt sheets. But 48 hours ago, man, it was announced that you re-signed with TNA on a per appearance deal. So with that being said, I have to ask, man, is that a true news report? Are you back with TNA? And if so, will we actually see Rich Swann back in a WWE NXT ring because of this partnership, man? I got to know, dude.
Hey, I will say this. I am currently working with TNA on a per appearance deal, and that could change at any moment. But my main goal always was to get back to the World Wrestling Entertainment. Is what I grew up on, and being with this partnership, if that was possible, I'd be thanking my lucky stars. But just seeing what this partnership has done for so many people, like seeing Wes Lee come to TNA and reform back with the Rascals, and then seeing Zach, who was formerly Nash Carter in NXT, but seeing him get his resurgence there, and Matt Cardona, seeing guys like Hammerstone get an opportunity. It's just something that Jordan Grace, Joe Hendry, like we've seen Joe Hendry, in the Royal Rumble as TNA World Champion, and then saw him wrestle Randy Orton as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. We didn't get those type of opportunities at AEW. I'm sorry to say that like that, but like you look at this partnership with the WWE, it legit looks like a partnership, not like somebody
100%.
overrunning another company.
Because AEW never even dropped any belts to any wrestlers on TNA, which WWE has done that. So, I got to say WWE is doing the right thing with this partnership for sure.
They've put people in so much. I got to see Moose, who I've seen at the very beginning of his wrestling career. And for people, I've seen it to where it's been said that, oh, Moose will never be at a WWE ring. This mother sucker was at the goddamn Madison Square Garden side, freaking killing it, bro. Like, there's no limitations that anybody can put on anybody. And then like with this partnership, it's like it just opens so many doors. Like Leon Slater, like how I talked about in the beginning, like the kid is what is he, 22 now, and
Yeah.
he's getting this opportunity to show his talents to the world, and he's able to do that through TNA taking a chance on him. And, like with TNA being that promotion that always was the one that was, you know, brought up the younger talent and, showed everybody this alternative style of wrestling. Like people forget, man. Like people want to talk, oh, AEW, AEW. I love AEW. I love what they do. I love all the people that work there. Like my best friend is there, one of them, but man, TNA was the forefront of that. You know what I'm saying? Of the alternative programming, the alternative wrestling. And, it always had brought up, all of these talents. And then when you see them in WWE, like, man, when we seen Samoa Joe in WWE, it like it gave us that feeling. Seeing AJ Styles in WWE gives us that feeling. And like, man, to
Even
see
LA Knight.
yeah, even LA, you know what I'm saying, gives us that feeling. And then like to see AJ come back and give that, you know what I'm saying, hand down, the phenomenal one, putting his name on Slater, like these are the things that this partnership can do for us, It just does nothing but create bigger stars and more intrigue for both companies. It's great.
And also even Motor City Machine Guns, man. When I saw them debut on SmackDown, it blew my
Mhm.
mind because that's one tag team that I've loved in TNA. Absolutely love those
Yeah.
guys and still
Yeah.
do in WWE. But I will admit, I never would have thought that I would see them in WWE. I knew with the TNA, just partnership, anything's possible. When I seen the Motor City Machine Guns come out, I was like, yo, what the hell is going on right now?
Yeah, yeah. It was a long time overdue, and they, especially Shelley, like he's the one person in the beginning. There's two people that definitely inspired me to get to how I am today. One was Jake Christ. Excuse me. Me and Jake Christ. When I first came to Impact, man, we were two hoodlums. We'd be up from sundown to sun up, just on the bottle, just drinking our minds away. And Jake got sober before I did, and just seeing him, seeing how his life changed and his body and everything like that, like man, oh man, like I was like, you know what, I got to get on it with him. And then Alex Shelley, once he saw that, I was of clear mind, I asked him like, hey, what are some things that I could do, some nutrition tips, like, and things like that, and work on tips. And man, he was right there, right for it, boom. And like, that's what kickstarted me in getting my, physical shape back, you know, and I'll always love him for that. And then getting to see him, in WWE, him and Saban, who again another one who has been like a great, pivotal point in my career. Like when he was one of the first like TNA guys that I met when I was 14 years old at Maryland Championship Wrestling. Then turn around, freaking, we rode together a couple times at PWG, and I would always pick his brain. And I remind him, hey, I was that 14-year-old kid in the other across the state, that was bucking it. And then, once he came back to wrestling from being a producer in TNA, like he would, take me and Jay Chris and be like, hey, can you work on this with me? Can you try this with me? Can you do that with me? And that was an honor. And then just to see those guys at the Mecca, the top of our industry, you know what I mean? On WrestleMania, where they belong, like, doesn't beat it. Can't beat that.
And one of the last questions I do have for you, because I do know we spoke about this very briefly before we actually hopped on the air, that you're if you still want to do it, because I know we've been talking for almost an hour, if you want to strum that guitar a little bit.
Hey,
but
brother, I always want to
but I have to ask this though, man, because we talked all about your wrestling career, but some people, they know this if they follow you on social media. But you're a very, very talented musician. And I'm not just saying this, man. You are phenomenal. I mean, you are a jack of all trades, dude. So before we actually get into the performance, I have to ask, man, can you tell us a bit more about what got you into music? And of course, do you have actually any plans to release a Rich Swann album at some point? Because I'm telling you, man, I would absolutely buy a copy. And I know a lot of wrestling fans would as well.
I appreciate that. Here, I got a picture for you. I'll be right back.
But no, ladies and gentlemen, while we're waiting for Rich to come back, I do want to let you know, if you do follow him on social media, and if you're not, make sure you hit that follow button. He goes live. He has performance videos where he does acoustic performances live and also on his timeline. So you can actually hear more performances by Rich Swann. He's super talented. You might know him as a wrestler, but you're going to know him very soon as the musician.
So this right here, this is me as a 14-year-old kid. 14 years old with my Spanish guitar with the capo rocked on it. It's been something that has always been a part of me. My father and my mother, they were both musicians. My mother was a singer. My father was a keyboardist. And one thing that was special about him is he did not read music. He was not taught the piano. He played by ear. And when I mean that man could pick up anything, like he could pick up Mozart and just do it. It was insane. And one day my brother brought in a guitar that he was learning. He was learning how to play in school and everything, and he just couldn't grasp it. And out of nowhere, freaking Come As You Are came on. Come As You Are, Nirvana. And I picked up the guitar and I just started strumming it. And I was playing around on the frets and I figured it out. And I was like, wow, I think I got what my dad got. I think I got what my daddy got. And I just never put it down. I was about like 7. Yeah. And I just never put it down. I would just always just be trying to listen to, anything and everything, just trying to broaden my horizons when it came to music, just so I could learn it on the guitar. And then it evolved to piano and drums and saxophone and trombone and things like that. And I just love music. It's just in my soul. And when it comes to an album, I don't know, maybe if I get, the right funding, the right studio, the right, but this one right here is one that I just learned. It's by Ty Myers. It's called Thought It Was Love. I won't go where the head is today, 'cause I'm gonna fall asleep Girl, it's funny to me how much I hate your memory. I'm like you would always be. I don't want it to leave. Started smoking cigarettes again, but a whole lot of people doesn't lie here. Tell me, girl, I wish that I could say whiskey helps drown the pain, but it only helps drown the pain. Every time baby, I bet you're happy now. You probably found something new. Who's got his life on film. As for me, I'm standing locked up in this old room, writing songs to you. Thinking of girl, I thought it was love. I went to bed with a headache tonight. I'm not going to do, no one to live by my side. I never knew a king's bed can get so cold. When the king is down, the king's all alone. Lord knows I need a queen, oh. Baby, I bet you're happy now. Probably found you something who's got his life all paid. As for me, I'm staying locked up in this open room, writing songs to you. Keep thinking of our love. Girl, I thought it was love. Girl, I knew it was love. I guess I didn't know love was.
God dang, Sam.
Now that's what I'm talking about, man. That right there, man. I got to tell you first and foremost, Rich. Not only can you wrestle like your heart depends on it, man. You can also play that guitar like your heart depends on it. I'm starting to think, man. What can Rich Swann not do? That's the question, man. What can you not do?
Hey, man, I don't know.
God dang.
But no, I got to say first and foremost, Rich. Thank you so much for that amazing acoustic performance, man. It's not every day you get one of your favorite professional wrestlers to not only talk about his career, but to also strum the guitar as well, man. That's the best of both worlds right here on 99.9 FM.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you having me up on here, man. Like it really, it lightens up my heart. It makes me feel great to, like I said again, have that human interaction and be able to talk with people and enjoy what we love and what we like really share that passion for, man. It's awesome.
Hey, man, you're most certainly welcome. I got to say, I know we've been following each other on social media there for a while now. When I reached out, I knew you were very busy and everything, but I wanted to tell everybody that is listening, if you feel like even if you think someone's going to say no, just reach out. You never know what they're going to say. Because, I mean, I just reached out to you. We talked on the phone for about a half hour and boom, boom, boom. Here we are today live on the radio. So,
Yes,
Swann, thank you so much, man. But before we part ways, I do know some individuals might not be following you because I do know recently you made a new Instagram account and it's chock full with not only wrestling clips and your current events that you're going to be doing next, but also great acoustic performances just like you just did here on 99.9. So quickly before we part ways and wrap things up, dude, how can we follow you across all social media platforms so we can stay updated on the music and the wrestling and everything Rich Swann?
Yes, indeed. The best way to follow me is get at me on Wrestling Swann, SWANN 91 for Instagram. And then I'm just Rich Swann or Richard Swann on Facebook. Just get at me, man. And if you got any questions or, if you can't get a hold of me on Instagram, hit me up on my email, richardswan27@gmail.com. Any questions, booking inquiries that you may have. You want Rich Swann to be, at the gimmick table signing some things for you, or heck, if you want me to sit at your local bar and play a couple of goddamn songs on a stool, I'm down for that too. Your boy Rich Swann is down for everything because I got that charisma, athleticism, and raw talent, baby.
All I got to say to that is mic drop,
Yeah, yes, sir.
But no,
Yeah.
Rich, I got to say right quick, man, thank you so much again for your time for this interview, man. And also just thank you for years of amazing professional wrestling. You've been doing this for 20 plus years. You put your heart, your soul, and your career on the line every single time you step through that curtain and go into the professional wrestling ring. So for fans like myself, man, that cheer you on, thank you so much, man, for just everything you do in professional wrestling and going out there and giving it your all for fans like me, man. Thank you so much. I'm really stoked to see that championship match in NWA. As a fan, I really hope they put that strap between on your waist, man, because you definitely deserve it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you back in a TNA ring again. Congratulations on that. By a per appearance deal. I mean, a contract is a contract, and it's always good to see great, talented individuals like yourself getting that money, dude. So thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to seeing you on the next broadcast of TNA and of course NWA as well.
Hey, yes, indeed. Hey, guys, don't forget to check out Turning Point November 15th, baby. I'm sorry, November 15th. Yeah, it's November 15th. Okay. But yeah, November 14th will be TNA Impact Live. And then November 15th will be Turning Point. So, guys, check that out. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be dope. And you may see your boy Rich Swann have to take on that big, bald, some B, AJ Francis. Because he chokeslammed me all for the money, damn it. No,
Hey, he's one hell of a great heel, man. So I'm looking forward to that match, man.
He's one of the best big men in the business. I can't take that away from him. He is. Yeah, I don't see many 7-foot dudes doing moonsaults at his size. So yeah.
But anyways, I got to say, Rich, again, thank you so much for your time, man. Hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon. But for now, congratulations on everything, man. And I welcome back to TNA, dude. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah.
Have a good night, Rich. Again, thank you so much, dude.
Hey, you too. Peace.